Hey all. So I've been wanting to do this for quite some time, a little bit. I got Spider-Man Blu-ray digital collection, 3-movie collector's edition. And I wanted to narrow down my favorite Spider-Man movie and kind of review this and review all the Sam Raimi movies, and then kind of narrow it down to what Spider-Man movie is my favorite. And hopefully it's not too much of a surprise for everybody. As of late, well, man, the time's going so fast. Yeah, hopefully this gets uploaded to my YouTube, because I was trying to video record me doing a review, 40 minutes, worth 40 minutes. So this is probably going to be about that or so, within a half hour at least, going over this, because I love Spider-Man so much. And I've been kind of wanting to do this for a while. I did watch these movies. I've seen these movies quite a bit in my life. When the first Sam Raimi movie came out, I was 7.5, turning 8. So I remember my dad took me in the theater to see the movie, and I was just so amazed by the opening credits and Danny Elfman's score. I was just getting into it. And bear with me, I don't have a cold, but I'm a bug or something, or I don't know what it is. I feel stuff in behind my eyes, and anyway, yeah. And past videos, if you haven't noticed, I've seen 3 Days Grace for the first time, my favorite band. So I got to see them in their glory. I got to see 3 Days Grace, and it was a really, 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 really good show. Really liked it. I went to see it with my brother Lenny. That was really cool. It was really good. So glad he got to go with me with that. So without further ado, I'm gonna jump in it. So yeah, I watched all 3 of them again. Wednesday and Thursday before I went to see 3 Days Grace, and then these videos, these discs want to come out here, spawn out here. So this is sort of like a booklet of everything, the original. I'll review even the movies too themselves about what they are. I just, not super advanced where I could have a side panel and then cut to the video into the thing and get copyright claim. That's the thing that I don't understand too, is if you have little thing, there's going to be someone to copyright claim it and dispute you. And it sucks. It really sucks for people to make videos. So here's Sam Raimi, the director. Here, sitting down with Alfred Molina from Spider-Man 2. There's Spider-Man 1, Spider-Man 2 in here, and some stuff in here for all the people. This is $20 on Amazon for 3 movies. And I'm not going to actually really read anything in this book, because there's a lot here to read. Not just that, there's tons of stuff to read on here that I actually haven't even sat down and read, because reading isn't my best abilities really, unless it's like online. So I mean, I have some books back there, but it takes a lot to read. There's Randy Savage, I think, Spider-Man 1, we played Bonesaw. There's quite a lot of stuff on here. Sam Raimi and Tobey Maguire, Spider-Man 1, the scene and stuff like that. So as a kid, this was like nostalgia. This was like my go-to. A lot of people have a problem with Spider-Man 3. I mean, there are problems with it. But I don't think it is as bad as people make it out to be. With Spider-Man 1, I'm going to kind of go into depth into that. I'm sure there's people that have seen it. Willem Dafoe is great as the Green Goblin in Norman Osborn. That's Willem Dafoe right there. He does a great job. But I understand people were kind of even criticizing the costume today about how it kind of seems like a Power Ranger, and there was a suit. They had a mask that they tried to do early on to animate his face, or because he has a very expressive face, Willem Dafoe. And a lot of people prefer the second one over the first one out of all the movies in that particular, trilogy, and that set in with what Sam Raimi did with those movies. But I always liked the first one a lot. And I really like the second one too. Actually, I saw the second one again over a week ago again before I've done this again. I've seen the movies so many times. I've seen them. I don't even lost count how many times I've seen them. It's Willem Dafoe in the costume, and they just put a helmet on Willem Dafoe. So, and then there's Spider-Man 2. Okay, before I get into flipping more pages here, I will talk about Spider-Man 1 and then keep on this for Spider-Man 2. That's it me. Spider-Man, and yeah. So it's the first Spider-Man. I think the highlights were J.K. Simmons as J. Jonah Jameson and Cliff Robertson as Ben Parker. Actually, throughout the whole entire trilogy. But then, kind of looking back at it now, it's like, with great power comes great responsibility. Yeah, but he said, just because you can beat him up doesn't give you the right to. And it's just like, well, what do I do? Do I, you start right to school and blah, blah, blah. And then Uncle Ben's trying to give him some advice. But at the same time, he's like, what do I run away? He's like, no, you don't run away and you don't start fights. So what do you do? Just take a hit. So, and there's a lot of problems. Even the start of the movie, actually, yeah, I'll say this. The start of the movie where Peter Parker is getting introduced to Willem Dafoe's character, Norman Osborn, by Harry Osborn, his best friend. There's an extra around, and there's this redhead that keeps going around frame by frame, scene by scene, and she's going behind Willem Dafoe, who plays Norman Osborn, and she's going around Harry and Peter. It's kind of funny because she's like everywhere. She's there and then she's there. So there's a lot of extras. That particular movie that has the same extra going through that scene, and just you see that redhead going. Oh, she's going down the stairs. Okay, no, she's going. There's just a problem with that. There's also the scene where he punches Flash and then gets the whole tray down on his face by the teacher. I think there's a split second you see a cameraman. So there's definitely problems with movies, and even the professor, the teacher with them at the university, it looks like the same age as them. So it's a bit funny. It's just like the next time someone talks, fails this course, blah blah blah. You were talking the whole entire presentation. That guy with the glasses, the black guy with the glasses, he was just like, it seemed like he was a student, but I guess he was a teacher, so it was a bit silly. And I feel like most of the cast were too old, especially Tobey Maguire playing Peter Parker, Spider-Man. I think he was like quite, he was 26 when he made Spider-Man or so. So yeah, it's about 26, and I've never really, well, I'm never solely sold on it because, yeah, he's a bit quippy in the first one, but by the time you get to the second one here, he doesn't really talk much in the costume. It's a bit sad, and he's emotional, and he cries a lot. But, you know, I like Spider-Man a lot. He's like my favy. But I don't know, there's just something about Tobey that's just like, he really narrows down the Peter Parker element, the Peter Parker aspect, should I say. But with Spider-Man, I just don't feel like he is. I don't know. It's just, yeah, it's just not my Spider-Man, I find. So I'm going to go to Spider-Man 2. Well, lastly, I will say about Spider-Man 1 is, when I was seeing it in the theater, like, I don't think they could do this much anymore, keep it PR. But at the very end, where Spider-Man's getting his ass handed to by the Green Goblin in that abandoned warehouse or hospital, whatever it was, it's pretty intense. And when the glider came and accidentally, like most of the villains are in the movie that are accidental suicidal. So it was quite intense in the movie where it's just like, and it's just like, Peter, don't tell Harry. And then, yeah. There wasn't much of a cliffhanger in the movie, but I remember I felt like it was a huge wait until the second one came out, and it was like, what, 2 years? The first one came out in 2002, and then the second one came out in 2004. So here we go. Spider-Man 2. Now, I find in all three of these movies there's a big difference in tone, but all three of the movies are kind of the same deal in a way. Sam Raimi directs three of them, who also directed Army of Darkness and Drag Me to Hell. So, Spider-Man 2, I feel, is more of a love story in a way. They both are. All three of them are. But the whole movie of Spider-Man 2, Peter Parker is getting hated on from his Dr. Connors, his teacher, Mary Jane, you know, Aunt May is, you know, bad, you know, getting on him for different stuff. Harry Osborn, it's just like, just attack to, you know, you're a protagonist. And Spider-Man, you know, has to deal with Dr. Octavius, who has 4 other limbs on him, attached to him, that can't come off because the chip at the back of his neck is fried, and his arms have control of him. And I feel like Dr. Octopus is not really out there to hurt anybody, and he doesn't really kill anybody as far as I'm concerned. Oh, he does kill the doctors in the hospital, but he was not aware of that, and he woke up and he's like, no! But the Green Goblin, his intentions were very, very clear, but, you know, it's very tragic how Norman Osborn became the Green Goblin. He had his company taken from him from the board members for some reason. I don't know how you have a company and people take it away from you. And he was experimenting on himself because the military wanted him to make formulas for the soldiers for superhuman strength and all these different abilities and agilities and stuff. So, and he had 2 weeks to do it, or else his company's gone, and then experimenting on himself. But Dr. Octopus, I felt like he wasn't really out there to really, really hurt anybody. but he didn't know what he was doing, so it was a bit of a threat. So I like Spider-Man 2 quite a lot. And at the very end, it's sort of the fantasy come reality with Mary Jane that she runs to Peter, because she was actually going to marry J.K. Simmons, his character J. Jonah Jameson's son, John Jameson. Yeah, I'm not going to read any of this. There's so much here to read. That would just be a 3-hour video if I'm doing that. And Alfred Molina plays Dr. Octopus. He does a really great job too. Both him and Willem Dafoe are great actors. At the time, Alfred Molina was never really known for movies on this caliber. He never really did this. I don't think Willem Dafoe really... I've heard of Platoon. I've never actually seen Platoon, but he did Platoon before he did this. There's Sam Raimi. They're trying to go through a scene or something there. I don't know what that is. And I like how Sam Raimi, you know, he tries to keep things grounded in reality a little bit through, you know, doing like real props, and then, you know, trying to keep it less CG, but there's quite a bit of CG here. And then the first Spider-Man movie, there's a lot of nighttime scenes. In the second one, there's not a lot of nighttime scenes. So I think the budget was a lot higher, and they're just able to make things a little bit better. So Spider-Man 2 is pretty good with the special effects and everything like that. So although Spider-Man 1, it's just like, really, you know, but Willem Dafoe is quite a highlight in the first one. And the second one, Dr. Octavius is here, Dr. Octopus. Here's a sketch scene, I think, of a car getting thrown into the restaurant, cafe. There's Doc Ock. More of Doc Ock. Yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff on here. And then there's Spider-Man 3. Now, I will say that Rosemary Harris, that plays Aunt May, is just amazing. She kind of reminds me of my late great-grandmother who passed away last year. When she's, you know, telling, you know, Peter, you know, that there's a hero in all of one of us, and that's, or that speech to him. And I find that, I mean, it's funny, I don't really touch on this on Spider-Man 3, and I thought she wouldn't know that Peter is Spider-Man, but there's nothing like that. But I think deep down she knows. But I wish they could have dived into that a little bit more. The studio, Sony, was really trying to push Sam Raimi to do Venom. And he did. But he killed him off, and he didn't do too much with him because he didn't really believe in the character. I've read that Sam Raimi kind of grew up, you know, when Spider-Man was, you know, quite new in the 60s. And Venom is an, you know, late 80s, early 90s character. So he's you know, quite different. He didn't really believe in Venom. And the Carnage came, you know, a little later than that, I think, too. So the studio were like, people want Venom. But he just wanted to have Sandman and, you know, the tensions of having Harry. So I'm not sure. I think he should have been in the Green Goblin costume or something like that, or Hobgoblin or something. They just call him New Goblin. And they just put him on a snowboard glider and have a snowboard mask or something. I don't know what it was, but. And there's Spider-Man 3. I think this is probably the I don't know. You know, I think they're all kind of similar in a way. But Spider-Man 3 is definitely the weakest one out of the three. Out of the, you know, I think the first two are really great. Yeah, and then there's Thomas Hayden Church that plays Flint Marko. I was never really one for Sandman being Peter Parker's uncle's killer. I don't know. And then at the very end of the movie, he's like, "I forgive you," and then he just fades away. So he's the only Spider-Man villain that just gets away. He's like, the only thing left for me now is my daughter. It just goes away. You forgive him, and he's going to go and rob more banks and endanger more people. Sure. And there was talks of a fourth one, Spider-Man 4, but it never really went on because studio wanted to reboot Spider-Man, you know, in 5 years' time, or, you know, not too soon after Spider-Man 3 ended. And then there's Topher Grace as Eddie Brock Venom. I don't know. I'm just reminded of that guy from that 70s show. There's Sam Raimi again, probably talking about the scene or something like that. So, and I think they are in New York somewhere. Yeah, probably in Times Square. And the cool thing about Sam Raimi is he really tried his hardest. And I know in Spider-Man 3, there are things that I feel like Sam tried to do things his way, but it was so muffled and so concocted around, you know, because with Venom and what they were trying to do, you know, listen to the director, and he's a fan. Sam Raimi, he grew up with Spider-Man, a poster of him behind his bedroom or on his wall. I think he still has. I don't know. You don't really hear too much about Sam Raimi. I mean, he made Drag Me to Hell and the Wizard of Oz prequel, the Great and Powerful. To a lot of people, this is the essential Spider-Man. You know, I don't know. I don't think Tobey fits that Spider-Man role, being that young kid. I mean, Spider-Man can age up, yeah, sure. So we have 4 discs in here. We have Spider-Man. We have Spider-Man 2. And Spider-Man 3. And we have a bonus disc, which bonus disc is actually, this is a Blu-ray. This is a Blu-ray collector's edition. I have not seen this. I should have put this in before. It's Spider-Man 3 Editor's Cut. So, there's no Editor's Cut for the Spider-Man 1, but there's actually Spider-Man 2.1, which I watched it, and there's some things I've never seen in the movie that was like, whoa, okay, I've never seen this before. This is neat. I did not like in Spider-Man 3 how Harry Osborn was bad, and then good, and then bad, and then good again. So I did not like that. There was a whole build-up in the last 2 movies for that, but yeah, I've had, the reason why I got this is because, you know, it's nostalgic. I love these movies. I'm not so sure if I love them much anymore. Because the motivation for Peter is just like he quits being Spider-Man because of Mary Jane. I mean, there's more fish in the sea. Go on POF. But then, you know, all the girls want you to find them instead of them trying to find you. It's kind of silly. But I don't know. I've always wanted to have that collection with me because I've had this one for many years, Spider-Man 2. But, you know, it's all scratched up, and I've had this one for many, 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 many years. Over 10 or more. Maybe like, 13 or 14 years. And then Spider-Man 3 as well, which I probably had for probably like 11 years. As old as this movie is. Or 12 or 13, how many ever years it's going to go into the future. But, yeah, but I don't feel like it's, my Spider-Man movie. I don't think. Yeah, I don't know. Okay, I'm gonna probably break it down in here because with, I mean, these movies, I'm not gonna, rate them on a one, from 1 being the lowest or 10 or to a scale rating. I like them. I do find that, Spider-Man 3 could have been better, but that's all on Sony. But everyone has to blame the director if something happens, right? It's not the executive producers or the producers or the people, the shareholders and all that stuff. So there's Spider-Man, Tobey Maguire. There's the back. And you could get this for $20 on Amazon if you enjoy these movies. I haven't even seen these movies. But I'm sure you have if I'm talking about it right now. But this may be a shock to you, maybe not. This, I'm going to show you about my favorite Spider-Man movie and adaptation is Spider-Man Homecoming. Tom Holland is the quintessential Spider-Man, I find. He's just amazing. As Peter Parker and Spider-Man. He's, what's so good about Tom Holland is every other voice actor or actor who's played Spider-Man, what they don't do is put on a Brooklyn accent, a New York accent. But Tom Holland does. And I've seen this in the theaters twice when I saw it. The second time, I had the entire theater to myself. It was really good. I soaked it up. The second time I saw it in 2D. The first time I saw it in 3D, and it was just, it was amazing in 3D. Not like Into the Spider-Verse. I've seen Into the Spider-Verse as well too, and that was great. I will definitely buy that on Blu-ray, but it's hard deciding whether this, the PlayStation 4 game, Spider-Man, the original Spider-Man 4 game by Insomniac, or Into the Spider-Verse is my favorite. I don't know. But I really like what Tom Holland does. It's kind of crazy that he looks up to a billion-dollar playboy who makes war suits and stuff like that. But, I know how they're trying to not retell the story over again. And you know what happened. If you're a mega Spider-Man fan, that, Uncle Ben was related to him becoming Spider-Man. There we go. We have Spider-Man Homecoming. And there's just a lot of, I feel like this is a Spider-Man that I read in the comics. Like, he's quippy, he's sarcastic, people say there's no more motivation when it comes to this movie. I say bullshit, because when he's lifting the rocks off of him, when Adrian Toomes, the Vulture, played by Michael Keaton, gets away, and I mean, that he's like has his mask there, and he's like, well, if you're nothing without the suit, then you shouldn't have it, because I don't know why he gives him the suit. He doesn't want to feel responsible for him. Tony Stark, Robert Downey Jr., which I really love. I love that guy. He's a great actor, one of my favorites. He's just a really great actor. But when the fairy's getting torn apart, you know, he just wants him to be a little bit low key. And there's a little bit of foretelling in there if you have not seen Infinity War, where it's like zip it. This is where the adult is talking. It's just like if you die, it's like I don't want that on my conscience. So it's just there's just something about Tom Holland that like is really cute. Yeah, he's actually a year younger than me. He's 22, and his delivery is just amazing. His acting is he's just an amazing actor. And I remember the shock and awe, the sort of like where he's knocking on the door, and then Michael Keaton opens the door as Adrian Toomes. It's like, oh, he knows who he is, so it's almost taking you back to the Thanksgiving dinner scene in Spider-Man 1. This movie's so great. I've seen it a few other times at home on Blu-ray. There's some other special features that I haven't. I think I've seen most of them. I got to see all the special features from the original Spider-Man. But if you like this take on Spider-Man, then please comment, let me know, or just let me know what Spider-Man movie or thing does it for you. I really like I can't wait for Endgame and Spider-Man Far From Home. I think Spider-Man Far From Home might be Tom Holland's last time playing Spider-Man. We'll see. And he's probably wrapped up all the recording and scenes for everything that he's done. But I really like he's upside down. Tom Holland as Spider-Man. Yeah, it's a shame. Stan Lee, if you not know, Stan Lee is the co-creator of Spider-Man and Marvel. Him and I think Steve Ditko did pass away this year too. Steve Ditko was also a person that was involved making Spider-Man. They both passed away this year.